for listening to The Leftovers. This is a follow-up to my normal podcast, Sunday Brunch, which you can find posted every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern over on secretstageproductions.com. If you haven't listened to this week's episode, I highly encourage you to go do so. It is definitely one of the best. Yeah, you're just going to have to listen to it in order to know what I'm talking about. But every week at the end of the episode, I answer a few questions that people who follow me have sent in throughout the week. At some point, usually at the beginning of the week, I post a tweet looking for questions on a certain topic. And this week, that topic was politics. If you know anything about me, or if we have ever talked about anything like this, you probably know that politics is one of my least favorite things to talk about. And it's honestly, it's not even because it's such like a social taboo sort of thing. It really has so much to do with the fact that you know how there are some things in life that you just can't make yourself be interested in? Politics is that for me. I mean, even in college, I tried to take a U.S. government class or whatever it was, and for whatever reason, just super struggled and had to go be privately tutored because I don't know, I just have a really hard time with it. Anyway, so I will jump into the questions, and unfortunately, they're probably not going to be as substantial as they usually are. But hopefully it will be all right. All right. First question. What are your thoughts on a witch as a leader? Hocus pocus. Sure. I mostly wanted to say hocus pocus because I found it funny. What are your thoughts on this year's election? If you've listened to the podcast at all, politics have come up several times, and every time I'm like, well, it's a little weird, but this election is different, and I don't think anyone is going to tell you otherwise. Either way, it's going to be a historic election. Unfortunately, I almost feel like this election has become too personal. And by that, I don't mean that we know the candidates too well, although there are some things that I wish I didn't know about some of them, so maybe I do mean that. But what I mean is that as far as attacking goes, this seems to be going more personal. We have, one candidate who is potentially hiding things, and we have another candidate who is, committing crimes. To be 100% honest with you, if we could kind of do like a start over and redo the whole thing differently, I think that would be best. My thoughts on this year's election are very scattered, and they are very worried, maybe. Although I'm not, and I think I talked about this on one of the podcasts before, I'm not one of the people who thinks that if one candidate gets elected over the other, that the world is going to come to an end. However, I do think that our international relations might take a toll and some less than desirable things might happen. However, we are a resilient nation, and we have been for many, many years. And my belief is that no matter the outcome of this election, we will persevere and we will figure it out. And my hope is that, again, no matter the outcome, we will be brought together and unified in a new and better way. Next question. What characteristic of American politics do you consider to be enviable by the entire world? This is a tough one. One, because I've never really thought about it. I've never thought about how other people might view American politics. The international friends that I do have, at the moment they're saying they feel kind of bad for us because they wouldn't want to be in our position to have to choose. What characteristic do I consider to be enviable by the entire world? Rather than give you an answer that I don't feel is adequate, I'm just going to say I don't know on this one. If you have a good answer, I'm very curious to know what you would think, because I'm not sure on this one, and I don't want to give you an answer that sounds stupid. So yeah, if you have an answer for what characteristic of American politics do you consider to be enviable by the entire world, tweet me your answer, because I'm really curious. I don't know. I find that a little sad and concerning, but I'm interested to know what you think. Next question. Do I think there is any sole person who controls politics? I don't, and I think that is one of the great things about our government, and I think that as a people, maybe we don't have as much of a voice as we might want. With that comes responsibility, and with it comes pressure to make the right choices. And I don't know the best way of going about making sure that everyone's voice is adequately heard in a way that they are okay with. Now, with that being said, our voting system, while of course, again, not perfect, not even close to perfect, our voting system does give us a chance to voice an opinion through a representative of sorts. And I think having a government that is so vast and interconnected has its positives and its negatives. But I think in general, to answer this question, I think that because it is set up in such a way that it does make it so that not one person controls every aspect of politics. And I think that's definitely a preferable thing. Next question. Hey, Megan. Hey. What is your point of view on the purpose of independent parties? For example, independent or liberal, or split vote? I'm very torn on this. And again, this is coming from someone who doesn't know a whole lot about it. So I'm going to give you a very uneducated opinion from the way I view it. And I'm not saying this is at all correct, and I encourage you to correct me if you view this as otherwise. For me, I think that in an ideal world, we could have a system where there were more than two competitive parties. And I know that independent and liberal and green and, whoever else parties, that was terribly worded, whoever else is out there running is probably also a fantastic candidate. However, there's such a small chance of someone outside of the two majority parties to be elected that I'm very torn on how I view them. I want to say that I support these outside parties and that I think they're a good idea and that they give people who don't fall within the boxes of Democratic and Republican a chance to try and make their voices heard a little more than they already are. I think those aspects are fantastic. However, the way I view it is that unfortunately, and again, maybe I'm wrong, unfortunately, these parties also don't really stand a chance of actually being elected. And because there are so many votes going to these outside parties, I have a hard time with it because I I've heard arguments of people saying that it's like throwing away your vote for voting for someone else or for doing a write-in or for whatever. I think that's a bit drastic, maybe, and I don't view it quite that way. But I think for me, I just have a really hard time with the fact that there are great candidates out there that we know nothing about as a general public because we're so dominated by the primary two. I personally, I know nothing. I don't know what to do about this, and I wish there was a good solution, but I don't know the right answer. It seems to be a trend with this. What political leaders in the world would you compare yourself to and why? I'm going to combine this with who is your favorite historical leader? I feel like I answered that one on the podcast. I don't really remember. I love Trudeau. He seems like such a cool guy. He's super laid back. He runs the country in a way that values human kindness and being neighborly, and I have a lot of respect for that. I would not want to be in his position, and I don't know that we definitely have a lot in common. Him being Canadian and all, but I really like him, so that's good. And this last one came in a little late, but still good. I know I'm late. It's all right. But I still want to know which political leader, U.S. or outside, you'd like to ask questions to over a dinner. Oh man, this is a tough one. Which political leader would I like to ask questions to? I would say, as bizarre and potentially crazy as this is, I would say Trump. There are so many questions that I'm just like, what are you getting at? I don't follow you. I don't understand. I want to know what you think, but I want him to not be his I'm on TV Trump. I want him to be the I'm going to sit down and I'm going to really explain to you who I am and tell you about it and be real with you. And I don't actually think that guy exists, unfortunately. But if he did, I would choose that version of Trump, the more low-key, laid-back version of Trump, ideally. All right. With that being said, that is all the questions I have for today. If I can leave you with any one message going forward into this election, it is that you might notice that I didn't answer who I am voting for. And purposefully. A bunch of you asked who I'm voting for in this election. I don't want to answer those questions. It should be obvious. If you know what I stand for. I simply don't feel in my position where people do listen to me and people do look up to me, and I recognize that. I want to make sure that I am not thinking for someone who is not me. If you are turning to someone else and looking for who they vote for in order to determine your decision, I don't feel like you're putting in the research and you're thinking for yourself as you should be. So I am not going to tell you who I'm voting for. Simply because I don't feel like it should matter in your decision. I think you should vote for who you think would be the better leader, for who your views most align with, and for who you would want to look up to as the President of the United States for the minimum of the next 4 years. When you make this decision, don't just sit at home watching TV and hoping that what you want to happen is. All I can encourage you to do is to go vote. There's nothing else you can do. There's nothing more powerful that you can do as a citizen than to go out, go to your election polling place thing. I think mine's at like a library or something. It's interesting, if nothing else, the people you see in line. Go vote. That's all I can tell you. This election day, no matter what happens, know that I have your back, that the Tipsy Writer community has your back, that the Secret Stage Productions community has your back. I know Chris has your back. We've got each other and we'll be okay. So go out, enjoy your week, and please vote. Until next time, I hope you go and listen to the Sunday Brunch podcast, and I will see you next time.